The White House is in trouble, folks. Stock loses $1 billion in value. Worst decision ever. Both Fox News and CNN just made some very high-profile layoffs with Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, respectively. Now, it's hard to say what the future holds for both men, although Fox may be regretting their decision as their stock just lost $1 billion in value. Ouch. The White House is in trouble as some are pointing out the hypocrisy of providing guns and ammunition to other countries while pushing for gun reform and liability for weapons makers. Now, that last part has me confused since making a weapon doesn't mean that you're the one that's using it, right? Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has denied running for 2024, all the while he's meeting with world leaders across the globe. I didn't know Florida was that involved with other countries. Do you guys see this as a clear sign of his plans? President Joe Biden has also formally announced his intention to run next year, a move that did not go unnoticed as former President Donald Trump was quick to release a video regarding the president's supposed issues and failures. New York Mayor Eric Adams is ready to give President Biden a piece of his mind too after he says that the administration has ruined his city. His public statements caught enough traction to have the mayor welcomed for a few meetings regarding the border crisis, and loan officers are confused regarding the Biden administration's decision to punish Americans with good credit. Is it right for people with good credit to pay more on interest just because they're responsible with their money? Now, before I continue, please take a second and share this video. It really helps out a lot with the channel, and I appreciate every single click. Now, if you're new here and in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to Social Security, global happenings, the stock market, our economy, the housing market, and what they're really doing behind closed doors in Washington, D.C. that affects us, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And for the best way to prepare yourself and invest in gold or silver, be sure to check out the links in the description down below. So let me ask you a question. What is hypocrisy? Well, it's the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. That's a pretty simple term, right? And one that's being used on the White House as they continue to talk about gun control. One issue is that they seem to want to pass liability to gun manufacturers, even though these aren't the people who are pulling the trigger. So where's the hypocrisy in that, right? Well, if weapons manufacturers are going to be held liable for gun violence across the country, they're probably not going to be thrilled to produce that many weapons. But at the same time, weapons makers in the country, they can't hire enough workers to keep making weapons for the Ukraine war. So you see how the two things don't make sense together? So what are your thoughts on that? Now, speaking of which, I didn't think that we would see it, but it seems as if New York Mayor Eric Adams had a series of meetings with officials of the White House as he blasted the current administration's border policies and alleged that they're losing more money because of this migrant situation. So Eric Adams is stating that the city could face costs up to $4 billion just to deal with this issue, and it reminds me of the statement from Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas about our borders a couple of years ago.
The border is closed. The border is secure.
Well, there you have it. Adams should have nothing to worry about now. You know who else should not be worried? Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. That is, if we're talking about the 2024 presidential election, because he just said this recently when asked about running.
I'm not a candidate, so we'll see if and when that changes.
Now, for a guy who's not a candidate, he seems to be traveling like one, as this interview was done in Japan as he met with their prime minister. He also expected to meet with the leaders of South Korea, Israel, and Britain. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've seen that many governors make that kind of trip right before a presidential election. Well, what do you guys think? That just seems a little bit outside the jurisdiction of the state of Florida. And on the topic of things that I've never seen before, both CNN and Fox News just cut some of their biggest personalities.
And we'll be back on Monday. In the meantime,
Tucker Carlson signed off Friday on what we now know was his last show on Fox News. The network announcing it is severing ties with its most popular host without explanation in a statement Monday. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. Carlson anchored the network's highly rated 8 p.m. hour that topped 3 million viewers on an average night. During last night's show, the network acknowledging Carlson's exit.
I wish Tucker the best. I'm great friends with Tucker and always will be.
In an equally shocking announcement Monday,
Don Lemon and CNN have parted ways.
The news coming out after Lemon's Monday morning show.
So good morning, everyone. Welcome in.
CEO Chris Licht thanked Lemon, sending this memo to his employees. Don will forever be a part of the CNN family. Lemon took to Twitter with his reaction, saying he was stunned at the termination, writing in part, "I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly." CNN denies the claim that management didn't offer him an opportunity for a meeting. Lemon's departure just 2 months after his controversial comments about women, specifically presidential candidate and former UN ambassador Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40.
This morning, Lemon's former co-anchors reacting to the news.
Don was a big part of this show. We wish him the best.
Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson have both hired the same top lawyer, Brian Friedman, a guy who has a track record of getting multi-million-dollar settlements for TV stars. Lemon has said that he was stunned by the decision of CNN, and this doesn't quite line up with the statement from CNN's chairman, Chris Litt. Quote, CNN and Don have parted ways. Don will forever be part of the CNN family, and we thank him for his contributions over the past 17 years. We wish him well, and we'll be cheering for him on his future endeavors, end quote. Now, according to Lemon, no one from management even told him that he was being let go. Carlson, on the other hand, seems to have left Fox on his own and that they have an agreement to part ways. The problem with him leaving, though, is that the Fox Corporation stock value has just plummeted by $1 billion after Tucker Carlson's exit. What do you guys think about these big news personalities just suddenly moving on from their respective networks? Does it make sense at all to you? Now, something that does not make sense, that is, if you ask loan officers, is the decision to have people who are responsible with their finances to pay more on their mortgages. And just to show you guys how crazy this idea is, even the Federal Housing Administration, the FHA commissioner under President Barack Obama, David Stevens, he said this, quote, "It's unprecedented. My email is full of mortgage companies and CEOs telling me how unbelievably shocked they are by this move," end quote. This guy is from the Obama administration. And even though he's saying that this is a stupid decision, what are your thoughts on this? And on that note, here's what former President Donald Trump thinks of President Biden's announcement to run for re-election in 2024.
Thanks to Joe Biden's socialist spending calamity, American families are being decimated by the worst inflation in half a century. Banks are failing, our currency is crashing, and the dollar will soon no longer be the world standard, which will be our greatest defeat in over 200 years. Real wages have been falling 24 months in a row. In other words, under Biden, workers have gotten a pay cut each and every month for 2 straight years.
I know that inflation's awful these days and that our expenses have become much more expensive. But for real wages to have declined for 2 straight years, I couldn't believe it until I checked it. So yes, the former president is right and our money has continued to shrink for the last 24 months. So what are your thoughts on that? And how's your wallet and bank account feeling nowadays? And if you're like many working Americans, your wallet's probably feeling sick, perhaps even anorexic. Mine seems to be getting a little thinner every time I frequent Target or Walmart, but I am thankful that my cash flow can keep up with today's expenses. A little passive income, dividend income from REITs and other forms of passive income sources certainly helps out. I am, however, wishing that more and more people could feel the same way. And if you're looking for opportunities that can help you do the same for you and your household, then listen to me for the next 30 seconds or so. Generating multiple streams of income is possible. That is, if you're interested in learning more about small businesses, side hustles, and home-based businesses. We could also talk about investments in the stock market, real estate, especially if you want to grow your money. And the same can be said for silver and for gold. Now, if you guys want to learn more about this, feel free to drop me some comments down below. And before I go, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. And if you really want to support the channel, please share this video with a friend. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are awesome. I'll see you on the next one.